Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, 6 minutes tardy. Cheers to a Tuesday. So, I'm actually a little sweaty this morning. The reason I'm late is because we have painters here. Not yet, but I'm preparing for day two. So I had I was running around getting stuff ready. They're actually coming at 7:30. My wife didn't want to wake up early. Stays up and works late on the computer, sleeps in a little bit. I'm doing this live show, and it's like I don't want to cut it short at 7:20 or 7:30. So I've got a post-it note on the front door. So my wife made a post-it note, and I don't know which of the crew is coming. There's a crew about 5 or 6, and most of them don't speak English. So I wrote a note, and thank God for Google. Like you can just Google like translate into Spanish. I wrote a post-it note so they can just come on in. Doors unlocked, and they will be in. So I was getting all of that situated. Good morning, Tracy. Jenny is seeing a ton of sales. That's what we're going to talk about. Rich says we're waiting. Ed, good morning. TD, good morning. Zach and Porter in the house. Victor, what is up? Hey to Dan. It Short says Rich. Herman, good morning. Hobby World. Good morning, Mark. Scotty Dubs, what is up? So yesterday, it was I've been under the Mark says on my projects, my painter is Irish, his crew is Brazilian. Interesting. So what was I saying? Your note really translates into welcome, the door is open, take anything you want, right? Well, that's what it's like. It's 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. I think I'm sad. Now, I wouldn't have put the note on the door at midnight last night. Hey, come on in. Do you remember what movie We're Waiting is from? I'm thinking, is it Caddyshack? And the reason, and I've seen Caddyshack, but I'm not, when it comes to movies, I'm not a big movie. I don't remember movie quotes. Like I've got some friends and stand around and they can spend the entire night citing, laughing, and that's like the entire conversation. Standing in a circle outside of the party, just doing an entire movie, quote by quote. And I'm just standing there taking a drink of beer. What in the hell movie is that from? But I do, and here's why I know it's Caddyshack. I'm pretty sure it's Caddyshack. I think Zach just said correct. Because of the meme. Anytime you post, hey, I bought this box of Bowman U, I'm going to go whip it. And then there's 7 memes in the responses. We're waiting. Open that damn box. So Johnny Boy Cards, what is up? Dan says, I've been watching some of those I accidentally became a meme videos on YouTube. Pretty interesting and funny. I always do enjoy the articles with like the follow-up, the different ones. I think some of them are pretty well known. The thumbs down guy, I know John Newman interviewed him recently on a podcast, and he's kind of out there, but it's the ones that aren't really in the public spotlight. It's like, oh, remember that kid from like the first meme in 2003? He's 40 now. So it's always interesting. David is in the house. What's up, David? So yesterday, so the painters started yesterday. I think they'll be here all day today and then again tomorrow. So obviously this room doesn't need painted. My office upstairs, it's only the ceiling that's getting painted. So they were all like in my rec room painting down here yesterday. So I worked upstairs, and typically I feel that I'm more productive if I bounce back and forth. Like if I'm down here and I ship for an hour, I go upstairs and I list for an hour. I think what I learned yesterday is that's not efficient at all. I am actually less productive when I bounce back and forth because when you bounce back and forth, for me personally, it's like you have to get started all over again. Every time you move, it's like starting a new project and once you really get into a groove, that's when you're really efficient. But when you're starting from not scratch, but essentially from scratch, bouncing back and forth, what I found yesterday, I listed about 525 cards on eBay yesterday. And that was even with I left the house for like an hour and a half. I went to what did I do? I had to run some errands. And then I just had the kitchen. My house looked like the scene, the set from Dexter, like when he's set for a kid. Plastic everywhere. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna drive through lunch today. So I ran to the post office, went to McDonald's, something else, and I can't remember what else I did. I because I ran some errands. Anyway, I guess it wasn't important. Um, and then I had my burger. I got a two cheeseburger meal, which is my go-to usually. McDonald's the chicken sandwich. They've really they've done a good job with their crispy chicken sandwich. And it took them how many years? 30 years to nail a chicken sandwich, maybe even more than 30 years. Um, so I'll get the chicken sandwich every once in a while. Not McDonald's more than I should because it's just I know where all the I know where all the locations are at. It's easy. Um, so anyway, so it's like I'm going to have my and usually it's like I don't want a chicken sandwich today. I'm gonna have the two cheeseburger meal. So I have the two cheeseburger meal with a fry and a Coke. And it's a beautiful day. I love hot and humid weather, but there's just something about for me an 85 sunny 85-degree day. And it was like maybe that's the perfect weather because I'm not like sweating. It's warm. It's not too warm. It's there's a little humidity in the air. I think actually when I saw the weather, it's like it's more humid than it's a bit humid. I what their little still said. So maybe that's why I liked it. But it's like, man, I'm gonna do a country cruise. And typically I do a country cruise on my bike. So I actually drove out like kind of where I ride my bike out in the country. Beautiful summer afternoon. So I did a little cruise as I ate my McDonald's cheeseburgers and before I headed home. And I watered. I did some watering. We got some sprinkles here and there, but I noticed I mowed the lawn on what day was it? Sunday. Yeah, yesterday was Monday. So Sunday I mowed. I noticed in the back the sun really burns the grass, and it's like even though we got a lot of rain last week, we didn't get enough. The grass was still brown and crunchy in the back where the sun just bakes it. So I ran the sprinklers. Frank, by the way, mowed again Monday morning. I'm like, what in the hell is he doing? And he's mowing so much, his lawn's starting to look like SHIT. I didn't know because I was like sitting in my office all day. And I looked out and I'm like, are you kidding me? He mowed again. I mowed Sunday, so he's trying to keep up with me, but his lawn looks like crap because he keeps mowing and the sun keeps burning his lawn. So it's half brown and he has the in-ground sprinklers we've talked about. I think what he's doing is he's taking like a weed eater and he's like so it looks like his crop circles. I'll take a picture. I'll take a picture today and tweet it out. It looks like he's got little crop circles in his yard. Frank, what are you doing? So he mowed again. Zach and Porter says yesterday we wrapped up a 3-day project with landscapers on our property every day. Yep, flash storms rolled through. Now I have to get to work and we're all the day. Yep, isn't that the truth? Rich is here for the food chat. DR is with us. What's up, DR? Jenny says for your overnight sales. We'll touch on eBay sales today. Herman says it just breaks up the monotony going back and forth. It does, but I'm finding I should probably do it less. I think I'm doing it too much, and it's straining my efficiency. Uh, and it also there's an opportunity cost that comes with it. So yes, I listed 525 items in my eBay store yesterday. Now I'm uh, solid into the 15,000, over 15,000, because I hit 15,000 active listings on Friday, but it was like 15,000. It was actually after my file exchange update. It was like 14,990. And I'm like, I'm not going to do another file exchange, but I've got enough cards on the coffee table. I'll list a dozen cards. And I got to like 15,003 on Friday night, but then in sales, and I dropped down to like 14,800. But now I'm firmly above 15,000, like 15,350 is where I ended up. I was watching Herman and Kin last night on 3B Collections YouTube channel. Check that out. And I listed probably another 20 or 25 cards as I was on the couch watching those guys. So I'm firmly entrenched above 15,000, but the opportunity cost that comes with it, about a dozen items yesterday morning before the painters came, and I went upstairs and so I didn't get any shipping done. And now I have 200 and let's see what my count is. So today I'm going to be down here because they're painting in my office upstairs. So today I'll be down in the card room and I'll be all day. And I currently have 229 items to be shipped. So it's going to be a busy shipping day. Let's see. Rich is glad he came for food chat. Dan says, before I came to Korea, I ate a lot of McChickens, cheap and delicious. McChickens, that was my go-to in college. We would, I think there's a name for like the McChicken and the McDouble. I'm not going to say it here, but I think it's when you combine the two off the dollar menu. You'll probably find it on Urban Dictionary. Rich says McDonald's Quarter Pounder really does use fresh meat, and the best thing they have. Do that instead of the 2 cheeseburgers. That's probably, yeah. I should probably back in the day, back when I was in high school and when my metabolism was much different and I could eat a ton of crap and not gain a pound. I would do the double Quarter Pounder with cheese supersized back when they supersized. And I don't even think, do they supersize? I think it's like hidden. If they do, you've got to it's like in code. It's like the secret password to get a meal supersized. But I get the double Quarter Pounder with cheese, supersized. Of course, back then I'd drink a big slam of Mountain Dew. Remember big slams? They don't do those anymore either. Probably because America has a health issue. And maybe that's why I'm on blood pressure medication, because of my diet of supersized double Quarter Pounders and big slams. In DFW in July, you know what we call 86 degrees, 7 a.m. Dan thinks that's gross. I think I'd take 86 degrees at 7 a.m., but I don't think I would like 110, 115 degrees at 2 p.m. day in, day out. Yeah, a couple days here and there, I'll take it, but not all summer long. Zach says, yesterday we wrapped up. Oh, I think I already read that one. Let's see. Sprinklers are really goofed up. Our sprinklers are really goofed up. We need to import Frank to this home. Bo, put him on a plane and send him down. Tracy says, baby shower for daughter and first grandbaby this last weekend at our house, still recovering. That sounds both fun and interesting. ATX treasure chest. What is up? Good morning. My sales have been up as well. That's good. So when I created that thumbnail and the title description, I'm thinking, we can say sales are up, card shows are great, but really it's only one person's observation. But if we, get a little crowdsourcing, what are other people's observations and statistics? John is in the house. That 70s Card Show. What is up? Says I have an ongoing bathroom remodel that I just can't seem to get done. Dan says, anyone in here sending cards to PSA for the $18 special? I for one not. Although I'm going to make it a point. I'm going to put 5 cards together, 5 pre-war cards. Well, probably 4 pre-war cards and 1 vintage. And I'm going to submit 2 cards. They take submissions at my Madison Card Show. Next one, July 23rd. So about just less than 2 weeks away. At the Sheraton Hotel in Madison, Wisconsin. John Nolan Drive. We'll have 120 tables. So 5-star cards you can submit to PSA and SGC. They have great pricing. So I think I'm going to get 5 cards together and do a submission for SGC. It'll be the first time ever that I've submitted cards to grading. I've bought graded cards, but I've never actually taken raw cards and either given them to somebody to submit for me or submitted them myself. So that's my plan. I think one of my boxes over here has the stack of cards I've been talking about submitting for 2 years now, and I'm finally going to do that. But it won't be PSA. It'll be SGC. I would actually pay a premium. So say there's a T206 Joe Tinker on somebody's table. There's one that's in an SGC, one that's in a PSA. Say it's an SGC one in a PSA. I would pay more for the SGC than the PSA because I like the look, especially when it's like a T206. Pay a premium for SGC over PSA. Cooter, what's up? Good morning from Southwest Flight 265. Just landed in St. Louis. Painters are here. Halfway home. What is that? Lambert Airport in St. Louis. I've flown through St. Louis a few times, but I've had 2 nightmare situations out of St. Louis. Actually, one wasn't a nightmare. It was just the travel was a nightmare, not necessarily the flight. It was both were when I worked in college sports. The first was we had a game against Savannah State down in Savannah, Georgia, which is a beautiful city. I'd like to go back as like a tourist. But the game was the Saturday morning after Thanksgiving. So we, as a team, the basketball team, left on Thanksgiving Day. And we had a Thanksgiving meal together at a local restaurant that did, Thanksgiving meal. So we had like the banquet or whatever. And I mean, basketball's small travel party compared to football. There's 25 probably in our group. So we had like the banquet room, the small banquet room, had our Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving Day, and then we bussed down to St. Louis, which is from where we were at Western Illinois, about 3 hours. So we bussed to St. Louis, stayed at a hotel near the airport. We had to wake up at like 4 a.m. I think we had to be at the airport at like 5 or 5:30. The only cool thing was the Pittsburgh Penguins were at like the next gate to us. Must have been flying commercial and not a charter flight. Like I didn't know hockey. Sidney Crosby could have been standing next to me and I would have had no clue. My buddy's like, dude, that's the Penguins. And we were like on our phones, like looking up. Had maybe sinuses or something off. Atlanta, we flew to Savannah, which was, and I think that's just the way we had to travel. It would have been easier because we had a layover. It would have been easier to drive from Atlanta to Savannah as opposed to at the airport, field, and then jump on another plane and go through that rigmarole and fly into Savannah. We get to Savannah, walk around. I had like the worst headache of my life And then we had a game, and then it didn't help. Our game was at 11 a.m. So, and we didn't get in until Friday at like 4 p.m. local time, 5 p.m. maybe. Just enough time to like walk around downtown or wherever we were at in Savannah. And I just like passed out, woke up, got ready for the game. And then after the game, we checked out of the hotel before we left for the game, played a game. The game was like 39-37 final score. Division I college basketball. It was, I believe, either the first or it was either the lowest or second lowest scoring game in like 3 years in NCAA Division I college basketball. And then from that awful game, we were back on the bus, back to the airport. And I think this time we just flew straight out of Atlanta. The second St. Louis nightmare trip, it was for a postseason game. We played in the College Basketball Invitational, the CBI. It was the school's first Division I postseason tournament. We never made the NCAA. Still to this day, Western Illinois has not made the NCAA tournament. So we received an invitation to the College Basketball Invitational, played Oregon State in Corvallis. I had to cancel my spring training trip in Mesa to go and spend a couple days in Oregon. Again, didn't have much time to like actually see the sites. Our travel party of 25 was split up, and we like me and a couple of the assistant coaches and basically like the staff, the head coach and the players took one flight, and then basically the assistant coaches and the staff took another flight. So we flew into Denver and then on to Portland. And then the players and the head coach went from St. Louis to Seattle, supposedly supposed to go from Seattle to Portland. They didn't. They missed the connecting flight. And we get to Portland. They're like, they should be here. They should be here. We can't get a hold of them because they're still in the air. We get to Portland. They're like, they should be here. They should be here. We can't get a hold of them because they're still in the air. And had to take 5 from Seattle to our hotel in Salem, Oregon. And they didn't get to the hotel until like 4 a.m. So it was just a nightmare. And then after the game, again, it was one of those, we wake up at 4 a.m. This time we took a bus from Seattle and flew out of Seattle. And I would have rather, we lost by like 30 points. I would have rather that and went to spring training and watched the Cubs. Anyway, enough of my rambling on about flights. So let's see. Where are we at? ATX says, only thing I like from McDonald's is the spicy chicken. 7-Elevens don't have Slurpees here. I think there's only one 7-Eleven in the entire city of Madison. And it's actually right on the Beltline. I've never been in there. Yeah, I think that it's just kind of weird. We have like our main Quick Trip is like the main gas station, and then we used to have PDQ, but Quick Trip bought PDQ. Scotty Dubs started selling on eBay about 10 days ago. 3 sales but Quick Trip bought PDQ. Scotty Dubs started selling on eBay about 10 days ago. 3 sales so far, only 14,900. They do supersize, but much more subtly advertise it like boom in your face. Supersize, it's cool. Now it's like, do they still do that? Let's see. ATX is actually 77 here this morning. Very nice day, but 104 for the high today. 8 degrees where John is. Is that Celsius though? Is that Celsius Fahrenheit? Top of the morning to George. Actually, top of the evening to you. Just finished making a batch of egg salad. That's something I haven't had in a long time. I love egg salad. Just crowdsourcing is what Dr. Jim did in the late 70s. Absolutely. Mark, good morning to you. Jenny, have a great day. Let's see. George says it's been around 33 here today as well. John, Celsius with 70 humidity. John says SGC is incredible. I love SGC. Turnaround time is like a 1 week turnaround time. TD says I got 3 PSA level orders. I'm prepping. Mark says 84 top Max break update 3 Donnie. Nice. That's a heck of a rip. Let's see. I'd try a piece of gum. The only time I would try a piece of gum if it was in like an unopened box. If it's a random pack, like you never know where those packs have been. Like if it's a random, like in a box. The more I think about it, the more I think the National Committee and PSA are working together to come up with that $18 submission rate to drive up attendance from the region. That could be. I do think attendance is going to be off at the National, and I think a lot of the hype, oh, they're almost sold out, and it's like, yeah, I bet that it's kind of far from that. John says St. Louis is where it all went wrong. John Candy and Steve Martin. TD says they're going to take them over to Jersey, and they'll be the first batch to get graded at their new facility. Yes, I forgot about the new facility in New Jersey for PSA. Victor, the rookie card specialist, what is up? Good morning to you. My sales have been down considerably in the last week. I've been listing twice a week too. Committed on being consistent, though. It will get better. That's interesting. And that's kind of why I wanted many times. The more you list, the more you sell. But that's not always the case, because I've seen some high volume listers and their sell are just brutal, awful. And I have a decent, I would say decent, I'd like it to be higher, but a decent sell-through rate around 0.55, 0.6%. But what I do is it takes me longer to list because I'm not listing from the same set or from the same player or the same team. It's just random. But I think that diversity in listings helps move more, because sometimes I can list 200 cards and 20 will sell, boom, in 12 hours. So that's a good return on those listings. Let's see. John says, I've seen higher scoring lacrosse. Going back to the Western Illinois Savannah State game. Yeah, we actually played a home and home series, and actually Savannah had a nightmare travel where they missed their flight, I think, out of Atlanta and had to drive to Charlotte, which I don't know how long that is. But they had a nightmare trip on the return. We played at Savannah in November, right after Thanksgiving, and then they came to us in Illinois. In games like that set the game of basketball back 30 years. That's basketball. It was, but that was the style we played. Western, Savannah State played a similar style, and you look back, and I think one year, and I think it was that season, which would have been 2011-12 or 12-13. I think maybe 12-13. We had like 2 or 3 of the bottom 5 scoring games. We had 2 or 3 of the lowest 5 scoring games in Division I college basketball that season. And I think one of those Savannah State games, whether it was there or at our place in the return game, was like the lowest scoring game in like 10 years. It was because I think that game at Savannah State was the higher scoring of the two, like 39-38 maybe. But I think the game at our place was like 37-35. 40 minutes of college Division I basketball. But that's the style we played. Coach Jim Molinari, great defensive coach, obviously. But we really slowed the game down, and it was. Now you may think, and you may think like, oh my God, that sounds like an awful game, but it was really like a game of chess. It was strategic, and every possession counted. And I think that's why I just can't get into the NBA, because you can throw possessions away, and it's the start of the fourth quarter. It may be a 20-point game, and the other team the team down by 20 to start the fourth quarter can win by 10 points because there's so many possessions in a game. But in college basketball with no shot clock, you can get really strategic. You can really let the air out of the ball, and every possession matters. There is a shot clock. It's a longer shot clock. Although they did shorten it. This was 10 years ago. I think what was it 35? I think we had a 35-second shot clock. I think now it's 24. I can't remember what's the shot clock in basketball now. Gosh. Anyway, so you could really let the air out of the ball, and you could really soak up every second of that shot clock and limit possessions, and every position counted. Unlike the NBA or a team that really moves the ball up and down the floor. They're going to take them right down over to the new facility and get them back to you in 2027. Corvallis isn't easy to get to. No, it's not. We flew my flight. But so this is how to get to Corvallis. Macomb, Illinois to bus. St. Louis to Denver flight. Denver to Portland flight, bus, and then on the way back, Corvallis to Salem bus, Salem to bus, and then probably Seattle to Denver to St. Louis flight, another 3-hour bus ride home. Macomb, Illinois, also not easy to get to, not easy to get to places, which is typical when you're playing low major college basketball. Some of the exotic locales that we traveled to were Vermilion, South Dakota, Grand Forks, North Dakota, also not easy to get to, Moscow, Idaho, Hammond, Louisiana, a little easier. It's not far from New Orleans. Logan, Utah, full. Sorry, Logan, Utah. Let's see. TD makes tons of sense. It is in PSA's long-term interest to keep the National in Jersey, too. Eric Tilden, what's up? Good morning, Seattle. Awesome. Love the show. Thank you. Dog wouldn't let me sleep in, so I'm finally up early enough to catch you live. That's awesome. TD says the Jersey facility is only a few months from being ready and staffed. They're hoping for a lot of New York business. DR says, Bo, I noticed the Madison Card Show isn't on Sports Collectors Digest website. Does it cost money to put your show on the list? I don't think so, but I'm glad you mentioned that. Let me get a window open here. I'm going to type that in right now so I can fix that problem. Sports Collectors Digest, and boom. So that is on my to-do list as soon as I end stream. Actually, coffee, and then Sports Collectors Digest. Get that up there. So thank you, Dan. Thank you so much for that heads up. I've kind of I put it on Beckett and then I run ads on Facebook. And I've kind of not done well promoting on other platforms. So thank you for letting me know that. There's actually a couple card show websites that have sprung up, which I think is good because really Beckett is kind of the only card show calendar that I look at because I know it's always there, but obviously it's best to have it wherever there's a card show calendar. I want to be. So if you know of any other card show calendars, drop it in the chat, or if you're watching this later, drop it in the comment section so I can get that uploaded. George watched a video today that had me cracking up. Opened up a PSA return that just came back after 18 months. Was a bunch of garbage that didn't even cover the bulk grading fee. I see that the shows that I'm at, I'm basically at a show every other weekend, and I see it every show. Just got this sub back. It's Kobe White, Gavin Lux, Bull, Tyler Harrow. I see it every single show. My buddy Mark's still getting stuff back from just like that crap. George says it's about to happen again, and it probably will. $18. Let's send who's the flavor of the month right now. And in 18 months, gonna be, it's gonna be on that Kobe White level. I saw a shoe in Cooperstown here in July, so I might, I think, is it show? So I might make my first trip to the Hall of Fame and check out the show later this month. Any advice for a first-time Hall of Fame visitor? I do not have any advice. I've never been to Cooperstown. So if you have, let Dan know. Let's see. Rich says, did he go to Princeton? No. Let's go. Coach Mo actually went to DePaul. He was, he didn't go to DePaul. He played at, He started his career at Kansas State in the late 70s, and then transferred to Illinois Wesleyan. And I believe he played with Jack Sikma at Illinois Wesleyan, which is in Bloomington, Illinois. And then his first, he got his Juris Doctorate at DePaul and was an assistant coach. He recruited Terry Cummings and Mark Aguirre or Mark Aguirre? I never know. But he recruited Mark Aguirre and Terry Cummings at DePaul. So he was on those, he was on the staff of those Ray Meyer team. Longtime head coach at Bradley University in Peoria. Let's see. He was interim head coach at Minnesota for a handful of games. Where else was he at? Was a scout in the NBA for a couple years. Came back, and I think he came from the NBA to Western Illinois. And then he went. So then he resigned at Western. Actually, his last year at Western was also my last year at Western, which would have been 2014. And then he was the top assistant at Nebraska under Tim Myers. Then he joined Bruce Weber's staff at Kansas State. And now he's at Boston College. I think this is his second year at Boston College. And he is getting close to retirement age. So let's see. TD Sports Card says, don't forget the USPS cost went up Sunday, actually. Also, eBay is putting the 2% minimum for promoted listings on. Can't remember the date, though. Majority of people put listings at 1%. They want more. Most of my promoted listings are around 5%, 4%, 5%, which the higher percent, the more eyes are on your listings. So 2%, you get the amount of eyeballs as 1%, which is not very, the 1%, 2% is a pretty minimal amount for the promoted views. Rich says, obviously, he never went to some of the highlights of the Ivy League city, like Three Rivers Junction for Dartmouth or Ithaca, New York for Cornell. Oh, where am I at? I did the Sports Collectors Digest listing for September and already got 2 emails the first day I listed. Very nice. In all seriousness, can you forward me the information on other card show calendars? Absolutely. Paige and Dina Bean, what is up? Good morning. In fact, let's just do it here in the chat. Because a lot of times, and I've noticed this even when I'm like, I'm going to go rip this pack after I end the stream. And what do? I end the stream, I go up, have another cup of coffee, and totally forget everything I talked about on this show. There's one I'm thinking of. Okay, here's Sports Collectors. Oh, Sports Card Investor has one. Cardboard Connection has one. Oh, this is the one I was thinking of because they actually emailed me. Card show calendar. So, Rich, just Google card show calendar, and it looks like there's a lot. So I think that's going to be on my agenda. Sports Card Forum. Sports Card Radio has one. Madison Card Show comes up on the first page, but that's probably because of my own personal, because it's my computer. So it's picking that up. So I doubt anybody else has that. David says, I suggest going to the time. There's usually a large amount of people each day in July. You can take in the shops along Main Street in the afternoon. TD says Lux is good, batting 300. So he's improving because there was a time where he was like, oh my God, I can't believe I graded Gavin Lux rookie cards. Mark Hoyle says, when you go to Cooperstown, get the weekend pass. It's $40 a day or pay $50. You get unlimited visits for a year, which comes with other purchasing perks. John says, are people willingly abandoning cards at PSA so they don't have to pay? They don't charge up front. I suppose you could cancel through your credit card company if you're speculating didn't work out. I don't know. Mark says Mickey's Place and Shoeless Joe's have an enormous amount of baseball everything. The store owners ring a bell when I arrive on Main Street with my credit card. Let's see. So there you go. There's some tips. Rich says Mark M still riding that high from Keith's retirement. It was wonderful. Can't wait for Old Timers Day. So my sales are up. Transition into eBay sales. My sales are up, and I talked about this yesterday where I feel that there's more buzz in the hobby this month than there has been the last at least 2 months and that's just anecdotally speaking. And it's not national related, because what I'm seeing at card shows, a lot of the customers and even most of the vendors are not going to the national. I'm seeing a lot of buzz. I have a ton of first time dealers setting up at the July 23rd Madison card show. I'm going to go in and look. And let's see. So I've got, let's see. He's been there before. There's 1, 2. Let's see. 2. Oh, there's 3. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've already got 8 new first-time vendors. I actually got one. I paused there because I got somebody in there twice. So boom. Okay, so 8 first-time vendors. A lot of buzz. A lot of interest. Local card shows. It seems like the July 3rd show in Janesville had a great crowd. I was very impressed by the crowd in Janesville. Let's see. Rich says it's frankly not logical for anyone to do Bo's show who's going to the national. And the thing is, I've got several vendors that will be at the national. And actually, I don't want to say several. Let's see. Of my vendors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have at least 5 vendors that will be set up at the net. Oh, 6. Forgot about Tom. So I have 6 vendors that will be set up at the national the following week. So they're because I know I was talking with one of the dealers who was also set up in Janesville, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do your show, and then we're gonna go back to my place, and then they're leaving." Because he lives about 2.5 hours away, and then they'll be leaving the next day on Sunday and driving out to, or no. He's doing another show in Iowa, and then on Sunday night they're leaving at like midnight and driving through the night to go out to New Jersey, something like that. So let's see. George says, so the Dallas cost $12, not bad, but I would hope for a free autograph and beer at the door. Mark says, Richie went to Sunday's game. Citi Field is cashless. 2 hot dogs and a beer, $31. Yeah, that throws me up. Now that I do card shows, I always have cash. Up until I started doing card shows regularly, I never carried cash. Never had cash on hand. So it was so to be cashless, it was great because I always went cash. And we'd go to a bar. It's like, oh, you got to have cash for the bar. And I'm looking at my wife like, hey, can you spot me a 20? Now I always have cash. It's like I bring all this cash and it's like, oh, you can't use it. It's like, gosh, dang it. The logistics mean that you get an AC, which is a whip, or the drive won't get them there for a couple of days. They can go as walking around, but not setting up. It's about, let's see, Atlantic City to Madison isn't that far. Maybe a 13 hour drive. So it's totally doable in one day. In fact, you could leave early Sunday morning and you're there Sunday night. Let's see. And when set up for is it Monday or Tuesday? Mark, both the Frisco Rough Riders and the Texas Rangers are cashless as well. The one time I went to the Rangers game, someone had a couple of $100 order and then someone had to bail him out with a debit card. Smash that like button like I've smashed this bottle of bourbon tonight, says George. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. So my sales are up. But I also think a lot of that has to do with The amount of new listings that I've added. I added probably 1,200 listings last week, 525 yesterday. So I've really been pumping the listings. My sales from a dollar standpoint are up a little over 9%. My traffic is up 34% in the last 30 days. Page views are up 28%, but a lot of that has to do with, well, there's more listings, so you're going to have more page views, more listing impressions, and eventually that does lead to more sales. What's up, center fielder 7 in the house? So let's take a look. I think Jenny left. She said, "Have a good day, everyone." But let's take a look. Last 5 sales. I like doing this. I think I've had 7 sales since we went up. 6 sales. 6 sales, 1 offer since I went live 45 minutes ago. So that's good. Last 5 sales on eBay. I know of at least one type of establishment that takes cash only. I think I know where you're going with that. So my most recent sale, a customer bought 2 Jose Canseco cards. Jose Canseco card. By the way, here's a tip. Jose Canseco sells really well on eBay. And I'm not saying like, oh, you're going to get $10 a card. $1.50, $2 for Jose Canseco cards. Boom. I move them like crazy, especially the late 90s, early 2000s when he was on various teams. Yankees, Devil Rays. I think he even has a White Sox card. The Devil Rays cards sell really well. The Yankees, it was 2 Yankees cards I sold this morning. I sold a 2000 Fleer Update and a 2001 Fleer Ultra, Jose Canseco cards. And you're like, well, yeah, $1.50 free shipping. How much do you make? Well, this was a 2-card transaction. So $3 gross minus the 30-cent transaction fee and about what, 35 cents. So 65 cents, $2.35 minus the 57 cents. And so 235. So where are we at? 235 minus 60, 35, 35, 265, 270. Oh, wait. 170. So about $1.75, somewhere around there, $1.70 is your net on a couple of Jose Canseco, basically common cards. And you're like, yeah, but $1.70, how much time did it take? Well, it took me about 30 seconds to list it. It's going to take me about a minute to ship, 2 minutes. And I enjoy it. So I always like to, and here's what it is. Now, and I'm all saying that every transaction has to be $1.50 either. But that's just an example. So that was my most recent transaction. I sold a 1994 Topps Finest Will Clark Texas Rangers card for $1.50. I had a buyer grab 2 1971 Topps Cleveland Indians cards. I wonder if that was the same. I think yesterday I had somebody buy around the same time 2 Washington Senators cards from the same set. 1971 Topps Duke Sims and Ted Uhlaender, the Cleveland Indians. Let's see. Another sale was a 1976 Topps football card of Art Toms from the Oakland Raiders. And then I had somebody buy 3 Conlon collection cards. 2 were prototypes. I pulled these out of the dime box that I bought for a penny a piece. So Lena Blackburn and Bill Terry promo cards, they sold for $2 each to the same person. And I paid my cost of goods on those 2 cards 2 pennies because I bought the dime boxes in bulk, and I got the cards for a penny each in those bulks. So there you go, $4 cost of goods, 2 cents. So those are some of my most recent eBay sales, and again, sales are up. Looking at being a much better July than June on the eBay sales. Let's see. George. Sweet. I got 6 91 Upper Deck Cansecos as buffer cards the other day. Going to throw those on eBay. There you go. And I think I probably should stop talking about how well Junk Wax era cards sell, because now I'm going to build my own competition and they're not going to sell as well because everybody's going to be racing to their closets, pulling out 91 Upper Deck. and putting all these cards on eBay. And I think part of the reason why I have success is, not many people, they just they use them as bumper cards in eBay sales. So people are like, oh, they're worthless. So Mark says, hey John, just finished Stars and Strikes, great book. On to the Captain and Me. Speaking of books, my buddy Scott, who he has the 75 Topps mini box that we took down at Baseball Card Exchange over the weekend. We were talking about Ryne Sandberg, and I always like quiz him on, because he worked in the front office for over 30 years. So I'm always quizzing him about different players, and we were talking about Sandberg, and the subject of his book, he wrote like a tell-all book after he retired the first time. So he's like, here's the book. So I started reading that, and I'm only a couple chapters in, but Rhino already telling all in the first 2 chapters. So that's Second to Home is the name of the book. Ryne Sandberg came out after his first retirement, mid 94, and I was only 12 years old, and and 94 was the strike too. So when did the strike start in 94? Was it like July, August? I forgot about that. How can you forget? I wasn't thinking. But anyway, I wasn't really, like, even pre-strike 94, I wasn't, like, the strike didn't push me away from baseball as a fan. Well, it kind of, so basically I was like teetering on the edge of baseball fandom by 94. Like, I had moved on. I was a much bigger basketball fan by this point. Like 92, when Shaq came in the league, the NBA, that's when I like turned to NBA basketball. And I wasn't really collecting. By 93, my baseball collecting was kind of like, I didn't buy any baseball cards in 94. I was all basketball. So even pre-strike 94, I was not collecting baseball cards. I was not watching baseball. So the strike didn't like push me away. It kind of shoved me away, because I was on the brink of like, I really don't care. But then when the strike happened, I really didn't care. And then, I mean, it's kind of like the, what's the saying I'm thinking of? It wasn't top of mind. It wasn't there. So, I wasn't like, it wasn't top of mind for me. And so I didn't come back until 98. And really I was starting to teeter back, just like the strike, like just pushed over the edge. Like I was already over the edge, but it's like the strike happened. It's like, I'm done. But what brought me back wasn't the home run chase in 98. The home run chase hooked me in, but I was already like flirting with baseball, with returning to baseball fandom in 98, because the Cubs had a good April, and they hadn't had a good start that I could remember since, I don't know, maybe 89, maybe 91. There was another year in there. But like the mid 90s, the Cubs were absolutely awful. So the Cubs had like a winning record in April, and then May 6th, 1998, there was a rookie named Kerry Wood who did that thing in Houston. 20 strikeout game for Kerry Wood. Then I'm like, oh, hey, hello, baseball. And so I start flirting with returning to baseball fandom. And then all of a sudden, Sammy Sosa starts crushing home runs. And that guy down in St. Louis, Mark McGwire, started crushing home runs. And they have a battle. And now I'm glued to the TV every Cubs and Cardinals game that I can watch. And that reeled me back in. And I'm a huge baseball fan since 98. So Rich says 11th. Mark says, so August was when the strike in 94. Because, I wasn't really following baseball during the strike, before the strike even. So what would you do with bulk mid-80s baseball comics or hold on to them? I'm a hoarder. If I told you to throw them out, what type of hypocrite would I be? Look behind. Do I throw anything out? My wife says no, but I've actually thrown quite a bit out. Not baseball cards, but other random crap. It's hard for me. So you can move bulk. Like if you move bulk, like I've moved some bulk, like truckloads, like SUV loads of cards, a couple of them this year. But I mean, it's going to be like you're going to fill your truck, car, SUV with 200,000 cards, and you're going to get $300 on average. I mean, it comes out to like almost nothing. It's like almost like I consider like, is this even worth my time to carry all this crap upstairs, load it into my car, drive it to the Target parking lot, and sell it for a couple $100? So I don't know how much, like what type of bulk you're dealing with. If it's like 100,000 to 200,000, you're looking at a couple $100. Take it to Goodwill, and there's guys like me that'll buy it by the pallet, and then they're stuck with boxes of bulk commons. Rich says, Victor, I gave them away as part of the synagogue show. Mike, what is up? The baseball card life. Victor, I donated a lot of mine to a local LCS. Let's see. I'm 6 bourbon drinks in, so I'm about ready to tell all. Who's ready to do a Ross Perot and lend me your ears? Let's see. Dan says, in Houston. You mean versus Houston? That game was in Houston, right? Well, the Kerrywood game was in Houston. Now I've got to look it up. I don't think that game was at Wrigley Field. Kerrywood 20 strikeout game. I remember it wasn't on TV. Let's see. Okay. I'm not finding it. I thought it was in Houston. It was at Wrigley Field. Well, son of a bee. I thought that was in Houston. And here I am, a Cubs fan. It was at Wrigley. Let's see where we at. Cal Ripken Jr. Iron Man record did it for me. Victor, I have 5,000 count boxes, each of 77 to 85. I made sets, very relaxing. Mrs. Cooter and I were late to meet with our really bad wedding singer because I watched McGuire hit number 62. Let's see. I'm like Goodwill. The donations I get are sold. Leo Chang, what is up? Almost trash day. Catch you on the replay. Thank you. Yes, tomorrow is. Oh, it's also recycling day. That's the exciting one. I don't know why, because usually our recycling is way more like we could go 2 to 3 weeks on without taking the trash out, but like or like 3 to 4 weeks without taking the trash. Well, no, wait, trash is every week. But recycling builds up, and like by the time it's recycling day, it's overflowing. So it's exciting to get it all taken to the curb. Rich says, I've sold my office 3 times and a storage unit in the past 2 years of bulk and more bulk. Mark says, I made it through 3 strikes and lockouts, 81, 85, and 94. Always came back. Baseball is in my blood. Paige and Dina Bean, that's what I was looking for. Out of sight, out of mind. That's what I was looking for. Kerrywood game was at Wrigley. I can't believe I don't know why I was thinking it was in Houston. Mark, you missed the 72 strike. Probably because I don't think it was on TV. There was something about it that it wasn't. I don't know if it was blacked out or what. But there was something about that game. Let's see. Card Cutter says, as an Astros fan, I 100% remember that day. I have tons of commons in the thousands, packing them up for Halloween, and will pass out to kids at the flea market at my campground in Sublette. Very cool. Let's see. Victor says, Kerrywood stuff was nasty that day. Great day. Yeah, that was just insane. Marion Barber died of heat stroke in his apartment per medical. Isn't that? I read that headline this morning. That's very sad. Let's see. I was playing with G.I. Joes in 1972. Let's see. Victor asks, Rich, what do you think people do with these bulk common purchases? Well, I do bulk common purchases, and what I do is usually there's some like even when I sell bulk, there's stars in my bulk that I sell. But when I buy bulk, like, Goodwill, a lot of times it's not commons. But I guess if it's strictly commons, um, as a Cubs collector, I pull all the Cubs. I'll pull the stars, even, junk wax stars. Um, Sometimes there's quirky cards. Maybe it's the like some of the quirky cards will sell on eBay. Bob Hamlin, where he's holding the sandwich board. It's like one of the worst baseball cards ever made. Sells the 85 Topps Gary Pettis. I cannot keep that in my eBay store. I've sold like 50 of those. 87 Topps Pete Rose cards sell like crazy. There's a lot of just different cards that will move that, are basically commons, but they sell really well. So that's something I do. And then what do? I sit on them, and then I always talk about, okay, I'm gonna sell this eventually. Let's see. Have you not watched the special the Cubs made? I'm sure I have. I just forget things. Mark says 72 strike cost the Bo Sox the division title. Rich says they do what Bo do. They go through them and pull out a few things. Yep. I still think the MLB should allow every fan one team access to stream all their games for free, regardless of location. It would greatly enhance the popularity of the sport and pay for itself. Yeah. Major League Baseball is way behind on like everything to draw fans in. It's just absolutely silly. They want to speed up the game, but they spend 10 minutes watching different angles of a replay of a stolen base. It's like, that's not what replay was intended for. A stolen base, or, and that's what I fear on balls and strikes calls. It's just, I just don't understand what MLB does sometimes. And the blackout rules are so archaic, and just be done with it. I think you're right. They could make a lot more money, dropping those restrictions. Let's see. Rich says, and then send them to the next person who uses them to make sets or starter lots. Absolutely. Like, the cards go around. Like, it's kind of like a bargain box. Like, you go to the National on, this year. You go to the singles club, and the first day, like, those dollar boxes are absolute. And actually, that's probably a poor example, because the singles club reloads their boxes every day. You go to Jennings, the local card shop down in Freeport. They have great bargain boxes. They'll be at the National, 50-cent boxes. On the first day, that Wednesday afternoon, the VIPs go in, and you'll get some awesome cards in those 50-cent boxes. Then Thursday, there's not quite as many, but there's still some good stuff, because not a lot of people go Wednesday. Same Friday, Saturday. Hey, you're there on Sunday. You can still find some. Yeah, you're going to have to spend more time to find good deals, but there's still going to be some hidden gems. I think when I pulled out, I think it was Saturday or Sunday at the National last year at the Jennings booth, I pulled 16 89 Fleer Randy Johnsons. And two of them, the Marlboro was showing, it was like you could still see it, and those variations sell for $25 at the time. We're selling for $25. I sold both of them for $25. I sold a red tint version for $10. So, and I had 16 total. And then the other 13 I sold for like $1.50 free shipping. And I paid $8, and probably less. I probably got a bulk discount because I bought a bunch. So, say I paid $6 for those 16 cards, and I sold them for about $70. So, and that was one of the last days of the National, and there were still great bargains to be had. And what I'm trying to say here is there's always meat on the bone for somebody. Maybe not for you. Maybe you feel like you've stripped these 10,000 cards and there's nothing left, but then you sell them to somebody and he pulls out maybe a 200, 300 cards, and he thinks, well, they were stripped before I got them. I really stripped them. I'm going to sell them to the next guy. The next guy finds another dozen that, might be worth a while. And then he sells them to the next guy, and it may be 5, 6, maybe even more. And then the end user might be putting sets together, and maybe he donates them to Goodwill and they come back to me and the process starts all over. Let's see. Subway is doing free sandwiches today, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The first 50 people each location. Thank you. That's awesome. Let's see. George says my footlong costs more than $5. Free Subway sandwiches today, George. Let's see. OnlyFans, George says, where are we at? Zach and Porter, the money demo is made up of people who grew up with junk wax. I side PC Canseco and Will Clark because they were amazing and now they are cheap. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of nostalgia where for so long, for decades, 2 decades, maybe even close to 3 decades, these junk wax cards were worthless in most people's eyes. Now all of a sudden there's nostalgia. And, 20 years ago, it's like, I'm not paying $1.50 or $1 for a 1991 Upper Deck Jose Canseco. But now it's like, hey, I want this card because I was 10 years old in 1991 and I loved Jose Canseco. I'll spend $1 or $1.50 shipped for this. Zach says, I would predict that every collector like me thinks they are stealing her Cansecos and Clarks for a dime or quarter, and the seller thinks we are crazy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there's many things, even me as a reseller, I'll pull stuff out of bargain boxes that I'm like, I can't believe I got this for $1. And I'm sure the dealer's like, I can't believe I sold that for $1. That's what makes this hobby and business so much fun. Because both the buyer in many instances, in many transactions, you can make a trade or make a transaction, a sale that both the seller and the buyer are extremely happy with and think they got the upper hand. And that's what's really cool. Michael, what's up? Good morning to you. My eBay sales are up this month. Significant bump. I'm seeing much of the same. And not just on eBay sales, but card shows. Seems like there's a lot more steam, which I'm predicting it's going to be a very strong fall for card shows. And I just know from personal interactions with my dealers, I've got a lot of dealers that are taking the summer off and they're like, hey, I'll be back in September. I'll be back in August. I mean, I have a handful of vendors that are doing that. I'm not doing any shows this summer. I've got vacations planned. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'll come back in August, September. So it's like, but by August, September, some of the summer people are like, I'm not really into it anymore. Or now I've got kids playing sports, school sports on the weekends. Let's see. Zach says, Bo ain't going to Subway, even if it is free. I'm basing this comment on the first 20 minutes of the webcast, talking about my McDonald's trip yesterday. Victor says, my struggle is because of age. These junk wax era cards will be considered vintage. Yeah, to an extent. George says, Will still knows how to handle the stick. And he's about 80 years old. Jose is sexing with aliens. Mark says, nostalgia is cyclical. My wheelhouse is the mid-70s to early 80s. Whenever I see bulk from those years, I buy them. Zach says, the other thing to consider with eBay sellers, there are regional favorites who you may think, why? But someone in another state can't find those cards cheap there. You can gobble up carry. That's a great point, because I'm not a football collector, even though every time I see Chicago Bears cards, it's a tease, and it's like, I should start a side PC of Bears cards, but it's like, no, I need to be focused. My collection needs to be one thing and one thing only, Chicago Cubs. So when I see a deal like at the Green Bay Card Show in May, 8,000 Chicago Bears, actually, no, it was about 12,000, I think, 12,000 Chicago Bears cards for $150, and boom, I'm moving cards. Because, and this is why I started listing Bears cards, because I knew guys like Zach, me, if I were to start a PC, I'd be buying Jim McMahon Fridge Perry cards for $1. Like, if I saw that, it's like, I'll buy this. I would totally spend $1.50 shipped for some Jim McMahon and Fridge Perry cards. And I know Zach would too. I know Zach has. He's bought them from my store. And so I knew there was a market for players like that. And it's like, I bet every team has players like that. And I'm learning that through, mainly baseball, because that's a majority of what I sell on eBay, is that, there is nostalgia and people will pay. And Todd Van Poppel, Brian Taylor, in football, Tim Couch. I sell a ton of Tim Couch football cards. That, there's nostalgia for some of that stuff. And even though you think, oh, I wouldn't even pay a quarter or a dime for a card like that, other people will. Zach says in Tacoma, cheap, but finding them in the 312 is harder. Let's see. Dan says just send it, no worries. Talking about Twitter DMs. Let's see. George says I'm putting out the tongue twisters, better than a little. Over an hour long. I need another cup of coffee. I need to do some shipping. Did we sell any more cards on eBay since my last update? I did. So in the last 30 minutes, I've sold 2 more cards. 81 Topps Jim Rice and a 91. There we go. Somebody brought up, I think Herman brought up 91 Upper Deck Jose Canseco. Just 9 minutes ago, baseball card for $1.50 shipped. So junk wax era, there's still a market for it if you want to put in the grind to move those low dollar sales. And I get it. Not everybody has the time. Not most people don't sell cards full time. And if you're doing it as a side hustle, the time that you do have set aside for selling cards, do you want to be dealing with $1.50 sales? Probably not. But I don't have any other hobbies besides my garden and my bicycling. And so now I do it full time, sell cards full time. So and in the winter, I can't garden nor ride my bike here in Wisconsin. I could, but I'd have to garden inside and I'd have to ride my bike in freaking cold, snowy weather, and I'm not going to do that. So that's what I had for today. Oh, I did get, we got great news yesterday. I talked about the house. The sellers are going to accept our offer. So we will be moving. Now it's not just, it's not turnkey. It's going to be a project. So there may be some YouTube content this winter with new card room construction. So the location is just awesome. The backyard is sweet. The basement, I'll have a walkout to the backyard, to the patio. So I'm looking forward to it. So that was exciting. We got the phone call last night. So basically it'll be this time next year, you'll see a different background. So it will be about 11 months away from being ready, because we'll start. We won't to give the current owner time to get it cleaned out and moved out, and then we'll start renovations in January, and then probably move in June of next year. So that's exciting stuff. And I'll be able to basically build because the basement, the entire basement is unfinished. So it's like a clean slate and blank palette for me to construct card room / shipping room. So I'll have about twice the area in my card room as I do now. And then I'll have an office, on the same level. I won't have to go upstairs and downstairs, although it does give me a little bit of extra exercise. So looking forward to that. So, and I may ask the room, like, what would you look for in a card room? So let's see. Rich says the biggest question is, will he miss Frank? Maybe a little bit. I won't miss some things, but yeah, I'll miss Frank. Displaying all 1 million cards at the house. No, that won't be the case. Frank has to be part of your farewell episode from that location. You're gonna miss Frank. Why did we have no say in this? Let's see. George says, but will you have twice the Wi-Fi signal? That's actually the first thing I asked, and I think I brought this up when we first started talking about it. Was first question I asked was how much rain. We had that massive flooding. Gosh, it's been 5 or 6 years ago now. We got 15, 16 inches of rain in 24 hours. I know that block, there were houses that got, significant flooding in their basements. How much water got in this basement? Not a drop. So that made me, okay, whew, that was good. Okay, number 2, I need an Ethernet connection in the card room and in the office so I don't have to go off the Wi-Fi signal. So, so that's, yes. So that's, yeah. So Dan says Ethernet. Yes. So there will be, we will get Ethernet plugs in the card room and in the office. So that will be, that's like number one of importance right now as we discuss layouts. Let's see. Zach says you should have done a show there before putting in an offer to be sure. Oh man. It's in it's something. It's something. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this in replay, drop in the comments what you're seeing in the card market. Are you seeing sales up in July? What are your thoughts on card shows and the card market in general this month, the first 2 weeks of July, in comparison to what you saw in June, and see if we're on the same page with those thoughts. That's what I had for today. I won't be putting out any videos. I'll be doing a lot of shipping today. So tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central, for Hobby Evolution. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll talk tomorrow.